It was supposed to be just another quick stop for gas on a quiet afternoon, nothing out of the ordinary. But for one single mother named Emily, that ordinary stop turned into a nightmare. Two aggressive men cornered her beside her car, their voices loud and threatening, while her little daughter sat terrified inside the back seat. Emily's heart raced as she realized she was all alone, or so she thought. Just moments later, the roar of motorcycles filled the air. What happened next would not only shock those men but would also remind everyone watching that kindness, real, courageous kindness, still exists in this world. Before we dive into this powerful story, make sure you hit that subscribe button, give this video a thumbs up, and leave a comment below sharing what kindness means to you. This is Kindness in Action, where we share real-life stories that prove goodness still shines bright, even in the darkest moments. It was a warm summer afternoon in a small Midwestern town. Emily, a single mom in her early 30s, was on her way home after picking up her daughter, Lily, from school. She worked 2 jobs, one at a diner and another cleaning offices at night, just to make ends meet. Her car was old but dependable, and she just stopped at a local gas station to fill up before heading home. Emily smiled at Lily through the backseat window, promising ice cream once they got home. But as she started pumping gas, she noticed 2 men loitering near the convenience store entrance. They were covered in tattoos, muscular, and had that rough, intimidating look that made her uneasy. She tried to focus on the gas pump, hoping they wouldn't notice her. Unfortunately, they did. One of the men walked up, pretending to ask a question, but his tone was mocking. "Hey sweetheart," he said, leaning too close, "you look tense. Need some help?" Emily forced a polite smile and shook her head. "No, thank you. I'm fine." But he didn't take the hint. The second man joined in, circling around her car. "You sure about that? Looks like you could use some company," he sneered. Emily's heart began to race. She could feel her palms sweating. She reached for her phone, but before she could grab it, one of the men snatched it out of her hand. "Hey," she shouted, panic rising in her voice. "Give that back." The men laughed. "Relax," one of them said. "We're just joking around." Lily, watching from the car seat, started to cry. Emily's voice trembled as she pleaded, "Please, my daughter's in the car. Just give me my phone." At that moment, she felt completely helpless. The gas station attendant was nowhere in sight, and no one else seemed to be around. She didn't know what to do, until she heard it. A low, thunderous rumble in the distance. At first, it was faint, but it grew louder, closer, unmistakable. The sound of motorcycles. A group of bikers, maybe 6 or 7 of them, were pulling into the station. Their leather vests bore patches and symbols that screamed toughness. The kind of people most folks might cross the street to avoid. But this time, they were exactly the kind of people Emily needed. The men harassing her didn't seem to notice at first. But when the bikes lined up beside the pumps, their engines growling like thunder, the atmosphere changed. The bikers cut their engines one by one, the silence that followed heavy and tense. The leader, a tall man with a gray beard, sunglasses, and a black vest covered in patches, stepped off his bike. His boots hit the pavement with authority. Without saying a word, he started walking toward Emily and the 2 men. The thugs turned around, trying to act unfazed. "What's your problem, old man?" one of them barked. The biker didn't answer right away. He looked at Emily, then at Lily in the car, and finally back at the men. His voice was calm but carried a weight that made everyone listen. "My problem," he said slowly, "is that you're scaring this lady, and her little girl." One of the thugs scoffed. "Yeah? And what are you gonna do about it?" The biker smiled slightly, but it wasn't a friendly smile. "You really don't want to find out." Behind him, the other bikers dismounted their bikes, forming a loose circle around the scene. They didn't have to say a word, their presence said it all. The two men glanced at each other, realizing they were outnumbered and outmatched. The arrogance drained from their faces. "Fine," one muttered, tossing Emily's phone on the hood of her car. "We were just kidding around." The bikers didn't move until the men backed away and got into their own truck, speeding off down the road. Emily stood frozen, still shaking. The biker leader turned to her, his tone softening instantly. "You okay, ma'am?" She nodded, tears welling up in her eyes. "Yes, thank you. I didn't know what to do. They just..." He raised a hand gently. "You don't have to explain. You handled yourself fine." Another biker walked over with a small stuffed bear he kept for moments like this, something he'd hand out when their group did charity rides for kids. He leaned down and gave it to Lily, who was still crying in the back seat. "Here you go, sweetheart," he said with a smile. "No one's gonna hurt your mom now." That broke Emily completely. She covered her mouth, trying to hold back tears, overwhelmed by the kindness of strangers she had once thought were the scariest people on the road. The leader introduced himself as Jack. He explained that their motorcycle club wasn't about causing trouble. They did charity rides for veterans, collected donations for children's hospitals, and looked out for people in their community. "We've all had times when no one was there for us," he said. "So now, we make sure no one's left to face something like that alone." Emily smiled through tears. "You have no idea how much this means to me. Thank you, all of you." Jack tipped his head and replied, "Just pay it forward someday. Kindness doesn't stop here." The bikers stayed until Emily calmed down and made sure she and Lily were safe before they left. As they rode away, their engines roaring once again, Emily felt something shift inside her. It wasn't just relief, it was hope. That evening, she posted her story on social media, not to seek attention, but to remind people that appearances can be deceiving, and that goodness often wears leather and rides a Harley. Her story went viral, touching millions who needed that reminder. It's easy to judge people by how they look. It's easy to assume that kindness only comes from people who seem gentle or polished. But real kindness, the kind that protects, comforts, and changes lives, often comes from unexpected places. Those bikers didn't know Emily. They didn't owe her anything. But they chose to step in because they understood something that many forget: kindness isn't weakness. It's courage in action. And that's what this story is all about, standing up for others, even when it's uncomfortable, even when it's inconvenient. So next time you have a chance to help someone, no matter how small it seems, take it. You never know, your act of kindness might just be the light that someone desperately needs in their darkest moment. Because at the end of the